Welcome back to another video. So it is actually Sunday, so I trained yesterday. I did not take my camera with me. So yesterday I went to Powering Through, which is a gym in Essex. It's about an hour and 45 away from me. It's a very good gym, a very supportive environment, and also they have Eleiko racks. So hopefully at comp we'll be using the Eleiko rack. We should be, but gonna be honest, the comp is not being organised that well, I don't think. Communication hasn't been incredible. Who knows what's gonna happen, is all I'm gonna say on it. So I don't know what rack we're gonna be using at comp, but basically any combo rack is going to be better and more comp specific than the cage that I use at home. So I thought, right, I'm getting nervous now, I've got 2 weeks left until comp. I need to train in a good environment, on good kit, with supportive people, and kind of get used to training in front of people as well, because one thing I've mentioned before that I struggle with at comp is lifting around other people. I get either very nervous or I struggle to focus and zone in almost, I guess is the easiest way to explain it. So I felt like I needed to have a couple of sessions at this gym, which is a gym that I am comfortable at, but it kind of provides me a similar mindset and stimulus to how I feel on comp day, I guess is the best way to explain it. So I'm not going to break down the session in too much detail. I honestly thought I'd just sit and kind of chat, talk through how I'm feeling. It'll probably be very boring, so apologies for that. But I thought it might be nice just basically just sit with the camera and talk through how I'm feeling 2 weeks out from comp. So I'll show you the session and then I'll talk you through.
With it, put your hands up. We head for the sky, it's alright. Our wings wouldn't fly, it's alright. If we are crashing down again, pieces of love, it's alright. Scattered in mud, it's alright. You're giving me a lie again. And tell me what you want, this time I won't take it to the heart, cause I know we won't make it out. I've heard it all before. Yeah, tell me what you want, let me hear that I'm the only one. You know that we won't make it out. We've heard it all before. It's alright. So let's move on. It's alright, 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 so let's move on. We head for the sky, it's alright. Our wings wouldn't fly, it's alright. If we are crashing down again, pieces of love, it's alright. Scattered in mud, it's alright. You're giving me a lie again. And tell me what you want, this time I won't take it to the heart, cause I know we won't make it out. I've heard it all before. Yeah, tell me what you want, let me hear that I'm the only one. You know that we won't make it out. We've heard it all before. It's alright. Hey, it's alright. Hey, it's alright. It's alright.
Okay, so session went very well, actually. There are things that I'm happy with and things that I'm not happy with, but in all honesty, I was really nervous for that session. Wednesday session went incredibly well. If you've watched Friday's video, you will know that Wednesday I had like a massive confidence boosting session. My mindset had shifted, and my mindset is still very much positive. Like, I'm still very excited for comp, but I was nervous for this Saturday session because loading 175 for a top single for some reason made me nervous, even though it's a very comfortable load for me now. I was still nervous, and I think that is because my opener in theory should be around the 170, 175 mark. I kind of told myself I'll open around 170 and just take squats a little bit lighter. But I actually think if I want to get the most out of my squat on the day, it might be sensible to open slightly heavier. But I don't need to decide that yet, and I'm not going to make that decision yet. But in all honesty, the way that 175 moved for week 3, bear in mind there's still 2 more weeks of the block, fatigue is still very high, filled me with the confidence that if I did decide to open at 175, I know I could. My depth was more than comfortably in. It was a slow and steady rep, I won't lie. I didn't film my warm-ups. If I filmed my warm-ups, I'd be able to show you what I mean, but my warm-ups were slow. So I warmed up with 70 for a few reps, 120 for a couple of reps, then I did 145, 160, and then jumped to 175, which is my usual kind of jumps. So I had my belt off until I got to 160. So 70 and 120, they always move the same. They always move fine. That wasn't an issue. You can't really gauge much from those loads for me. 145 is usually when you can start to tell, like the 140 to 150 range, I can kind of tell what sort of squat day it's going to be. And the 145 actually didn't move that well. So I kind of got, not stuck, to watch, I'm sure it was a quick rep, but I could feel that there was a bit of a sticking point and it was just a little bit slow. And then I suddenly just popped at the top and had a lot of speed at the top, I guess. But I could feel it definitely slowed down. But I also felt like my balance in my feet wasn't quite right, because the other thing that I noticed when I switched from training at home to on a platform is a platform is slightly softer than the floor that I squat on at home. So at home, I'm on concrete, which there is a thin layer of carpet now as well, and then horse mat. So it is very solid surface, where a platform tends to be plywood and carpet. So it is still solid, but it's just ever so slightly got more give in it, I guess. And that is something I do notice. And I think after comp, I'm going to change from squatting in Jordans to a perfectly flat shoe, because I think that will help with that. But I'm obviously not going to change anything this close to comp. Anyway, so 145 was a little bit slow. Put my belt on for 160. And it was a similar speed to the 145, I think. But again, it just wasn't quite right. My balance and everything felt better. Like, I felt like I just kind of gotten used to the flooring a little bit more. But yeah, it wasn't amazing. So I was nervous for 175. Again, I knew I'd have it, but it shouldn't be a grind, especially this far out from comp. I shouldn't be grinding out reps. And I was a little bit nervous that this was going to be a grind. But I had spotters, I was comfortable, I knew they had me if I failed or anything bad happened. Like, I knew I was in safe hands, and that always does help make a rep move better. I do genuinely think that. But actually, the 175 was better and more consistent than any of the warm-ups were. So one of the girls I was training with actually said to me, she's like, that moved better than your warm-ups. Like, if you'd have told, like, I wouldn't have guessed that you were going to jump 15 kilos from 160 and get it. Like, not that she thought I was going to fail the rep, but it was almost like, it doesn't logically make sense for 160 to move how it did and then 175 to move as comfortably as it did. Which, we were talking it through, like, is a very big confidence boost in a way, because I, for some reason, still expect squats to be quick. I'm not a fast squatter, I never have been. And I think as comp is getting closer, I'm kind of remembering about myself, I can grind a squat if I have to. And at comp, I'm sure my third squat is going to be a grind, and that doesn't matter. Nothing has to be quick. Just because a rep is slow, it doesn't mean there's not plenty of room left in the tank. Like, my opener on squats is probably going to look considerably slower than a lot of other girls' openers will, but I will still probably take bigger jumps than most of them and end up at a higher number. Like, that's the way my squats go. That's how it is. The only thing that is a little bit annoying with the new rule changes is your coach is not allowed to film your lifts. So unless we have good access to the live stream and I can very quickly watch my lift back before putting in my next attempt, I am going to be a little bit nervous, I think, taking bigger jumps, because I'm mentally preparing for my squats to move a little bit slow. Not difficult, grind slow until the last one, but they are probably going to be a bit slow, which means they're probably going to, in my mind, psych me out a little bit, and I probably will be a bit too nervous to take bigger jumps, which is why I'm kind of leaning towards a slightly heavier opener. Because yesterday, I was thinking to myself, like, if I went from 160 to 175 and I was nervous, after the 175, if someone said to me, right, now load 182, I would have done it and I wouldn't have questioned it, because I knew that the 175 was so consistent. where if someone had kind of said, right, you're going to take a 15 kilo jump, I think I would have been a lot more nervous. Hopefully that kind of makes sense. Basically, I'm thinking I might open slightly heavier and take smaller jumps rather than taking the usual jumps that I would in training, because in training, obviously, I can watch it back. I can see and know that it moved fine. But yeah, so because coaches can't film, normally I'd watch my lift back immediately, say what I want, job's done. I mean, my handler, one of my friends who's handling me, like she always handles me, she's very good at gauging my numbers as well, so I will take her advice and trust her opinion. But I do like to have the final say, and if I can't watch my lifts back, I think that might mess with my head a little bit. So squats, I probably will take slightly smaller jumps. But anyway, 175, moved well. It moved better than I probably thought it was going to. And again, fatigue is still incredibly high. One thing that I think I need to keep remembering, and one thing that I've been reminding myself of that I think is also worth mentioning in the videos, is I have heavy deadlifts and more volume on conventional than I've had in a very long time. This entire off season, I've had very minimal volume. This block, my deadlift volume has gone up a little bit, and my kind of intensity is higher. I'm lifting heavier loads. So my posterior chain and my legs are more tired and fatigued by the time I get to my Saturday squat day. So when I get to comp, I would have tapered my deadlift off. I'm having like an aggressive taper for my deadlift. So actually my body will feel a lot fresher for squats, hopefully, on comp day as well than it does in these sessions. Like that deadlift fatigue will be having an interference into my squat day, which isn't a bad thing, but it's just something to be aware of and remember before kind of getting annoyed with myself. So yeah, anyway, the rest of the squats were fine. My 160 triple was fair, like it was fine. It was a little bit slow, but it was comfortable enough, like not a problem. And then back off fives at 140 were nice and easy, just kind of rushed through them, got them done. Then bench was fine. Switching to an Alico rack is always a bit annoying for me because of the fact that my butt does typically come up off of an Alico rack. I think because the bench I have at home has a bit more give in it as well, it's easier for me to kind of just sink my body into the bench, where an Alico rack is a very hard pad, you don't really get that. So pros of using the Alico, setting up, I did not slip at all. Like my upper back, like my neck, my shoulders, my traps, like I was stuck in position on that bench. Like sliding up the bench was hard, which is a very, very good thing because it means that my upper positioning will be perfect. The other thing I was incredibly happy with, so I used the rack that has a platform underneath at the gym, which has carpet on it, and my shoes were locked into that carpet. Like my feet were not going anywhere. My heels looked like they were down, which is something I've been a little bit worried about because I drive my feet so forward in my shoe or my slipper. It does often, I think, in slippers look as if your heel is up, and some refs are very strict with that. So that is something I wanted to check yesterday with these slippers, and no, you can definitely tell that it's just that my foot is slid forward. My heel still looks down on the floor, so that was another win. Only negative is that my butt did come up slightly on my top single, but I think for my back offs I kind of figured it out. And it's nowhere near as up as it normally is when I first switched to an Alico. So like before my last couple of comps when I've gone to this gym to train, or trained on any combo rack to be fair, it has looked like my butt is up more, where now it's only ever so slightly, which in all honesty I do actually think is also down to the fact that my lower body has grown quite a lot this off season. So thankfully the gains have somewhat stayed in my lower body, because usually that is the first place that my body fat disappears, and my butt is basically big enough that it is pretty much remaining in contact. Because it also, in the video that I took, you can't really see that it came up, which makes me quite hopeful that it's something that probably won't be obvious either to the judges or the refs. So side reffing is incredibly difficult now that the elbow depth rule is in. And hopefully, if there is a little bit of lift, it is missed. Don't get me wrong, I don't want to rely on that happening because there's probably going to be a jury, but I don't know. Again, not the most well-organised national level comp, I don't think, personally. I might be pleasantly surprised when I get there. I hope I'm proved wrong, but I have no idea how many refs they're going to have, if they've got enough refs for a jury. I know for the men's national comp the week after, they're struggling to get enough refs to even just fill the event and run the comp, let alone have a jury. So we will see. But anyway, bench was fine. On my back offs, I fixed it. Back offs, I did end up taking it a little bit lighter than planned. I did 2 sets at 105, and it was a lot harder than I wanted it to be, so I dropped down to 102.5 because there's no point pushing the volume at this point in prep. Like, I'm 2 weeks out. As long as I just keep somewhat heavy volume in this week and next, and then taper it off the final week, it's fine. There's no point killing myself off going up RPE 10. Like, this isn't the block to build strength. This is the block to strip that fatigue back and present the strength that I have been building. And that is kind of what I'm reminding myself of. So yes, anyway, that wraps up the week of training. It has been a good week. I went into the week just feeling a bit meh and like I didn't have much excitement to train. I almost was nervous and I was nervous and like I just didn't have that much confidence for comp. Like I felt like, I don't know, I was self-sabotaging. I wasn't in a good space. I had a lot of other stresses going on and I was clinging on to the other stresses in my life as an excuse to do worse, where I kind of realised that, revisited my mindset, and I was very much like, no, your only priority right now outside of work is competing. It is training, it is nutrition, it is competing. And I've definitely made up a lot of ground this week. Like my food has been 100 times better. My body weight is still sitting low 85s, so I've stopped just drastically dropping now, which is also very good. And yeah, my body's feeling a lot healthier. So I mentioned in the previous video, my elbows have been incredibly tender the last few weeks. That was definitely better yesterday. And this week, this now week that I'm going into, so my 2 weeks out week of training, for my accessories, I am going to pull out now any smaller movements. So that'll be like lateral raises, bicep curls, tricep push down, that sort of thing. I'm also probably going to take out pull-ups as well, and basically just keep in my leg movements for this week, and then the week after I'll strip some of those out, and then upper body will literally just be pull downs, rows, I'm trying to think what else I have in, dumbbell chest press, and that'll be pretty much it, to be fair. I'm not going to have much upper body work left in there. It'll be enough to keep the stimulus, to keep my back moving, that kind of thing, but it won't be enough to bring any fatigue, and it'll be enough to kind of let my body start recovering. And then that final week into comp, accessories will still be in the plan, but they will be super sub-max. I'm going to take out split squats, I'm going to take out hamstring curl. So one thing that I've been doing, which I think has really helped my back get healthy, I'm aware I don't really film my accessory days or talk through my accessory plan, so this might not be that interesting or make a lot of sense, but one movement I thought I'd mention that I've been doing, so if you've been watching this entire off season, you'll know I started with a bit of a lower back issue, and sometimes I get a little bit of a niggle on one side of my lower back in particular. So I've been doing B stance RDLs, which I think have been a godsend for my lower back. Since doing them, I haven't really had any niggles on one particular side. My back has felt the healthiest it has in a really long time, to be fair. Well, if ever, actually. Do you know, I don't think I've had any issues with my back for months, and I do think B stance RDLs are a big part of why. Like that single-sided kind of movement, it's definitely just helped even things out a little bit and just make things feel a bit healthier, keep things moving in a good way. Yeah, also realised I didn't mention at the end of my squat and bench session yesterday, I did also do RDLs, just 3x8 with 100. My RDLs are incredibly weak, and after comp, I'm going to push them. I'm going to drop the reps a little bit and do like 5 to 6 reps on them, and I'm going to actually try and really push my strength on them, because they are far too weak, and that is definitely like a low-hanging fruit that I can tackle to help build my deadlift even more. But yeah, that was a lot of ramble. I kind of wanted to just sit and talk. Basically, I didn't take my camera with me yesterday, as I've said. Like, I just feel like I didn't feel comfortable filming in front of everyone, and I knew I wouldn't get much content. So I was like, I'll just film my lifts on my phone and I'll just sit and talk today. But no, things are good. I am excited for comp. My body is feeling healthier. My mind is feeling calmer. I've been very good with de-stressing. Business is going incredibly well as well, which is something that I'm now starting to pick up and kind of build on more now that I've moved. I didn't really take on any clients over the period that I was moving because I just wanted to make sure that I was focused on the clients I already had and that I had enough time to deal with them and keep them all happy, keep replies and everything as quick as possible, before I took on any more, because you know, you don't want to take on more than you can handle. And I wasn't sure how things were going to be after we moved in and how long it was going to take me to settle in like my new routine, but I feel like I'm finally settling in my new routine as well, which is lovely. And yeah, I've literally already had a couple of new clients. I've had a couple of inquiry calls over the last couple of days, and I feel like things are good. I'm in a very good position, and I think that's also just going to help comp, like feeling more happy in like your life outside of training is going to make your training life happier as well. So yes, that is probably all I've got to say. What I am hoping to do next week, so Wednesday I will just do my normal session. I'll upload that session on Friday and I'll just talk through it how I normally do. Any updates I will also give. Next Saturday though, so for next Monday's video, I would like to try and do a full day of eating along with obviously my training. I'm at Powering Through again next Saturday, so I probably won't take my camera with me to the gym, but I will do a full day of eating and I will show how I fuel my sessions and things like that 1 week out from comp. Because then if I do then film, well, the plan is to film more of my food, like if I cut for comp, if I need to do any kind of food manipulation or anything, I would like to document it, so it will give you an idea of what I'm eating in a normal week, and then we can talk through what I'm eating comp week. So that is the plan. Let's hope it goes through. It will. I'm making myself do that. I want to film more nutrition content as well, because it is an area I'm incredibly interested in. I love coaching nutrition. It is like, I'm a nerd for it, so I want to film more about that as well. And yes, I'm just rambling at this point. I'm going to wrap this up here. I hope you have enjoyed this video. I apologise if it has just been boring, because I've just been sat here talking the whole time. But I will see you on Friday for the next video. We're feeling good, we're feeling happy, we're feeling excited to compete, and I can't believe it's actually nearly here. Let's hope everything goes to plan. I'm sure it will. But if you've made it this far and watched this, I really genuinely appreciate it. Thank you for the support. Please leave a like, comment if you've made it this far. Let me know that you've watched. Like, it genuinely does mean a lot to me if people make it to the end of my videos, if people even click on them in the first place. And subscribe if you haven't already. I promise content will be more exciting and more interesting going forwards. I've got some plans for what I want to post and what I want to put out post-comp especially. It's just getting things set up for my home office and everything to be able to do that. So thank you for watching, and I will see you on Monday for the next one.
It's alright, so let's move on.